And welcome back to the stream on that beautiful noise from the mouth of Johnny. So yes, we left off with the luxurious office of Sarah, CEO of the Midnight Corporation. Actually, I'm curious. So, Sarah, as played by Midnight, tell me what high-powered businesswoman Sarah's office looks like. What decor does Sarah go in for?
Okay, so Sarah, imagine a very modernistic, chic kind of office, but
Sorry.
what?
Go.
Very simplistic. So she's got the classic, massive fuck off oak desk with the ridiculously big chair, but only like Mac computer on it, and that's kind of it.
I presume a
Like
fully
a
stocked
plant,
bar on one side of
and
the
a
room?
plant in the other corner,
Good.
and then just like massive glass windows.
Yeah.
Sticks out to like the entire of everywhere.
Yeah, you're basically in like... I think from this view, we can see the Shard slightly lower than this office. It's like, this is the testament to Sarah's, like, power in this city. Yeah, in Midnight's fantasy,
It's up there.
she stands on top of the city of London. Literally and figuratively. Just in a very different way to, say, Tudor. Okay, yeah, so yeah, you're head researcher in your R&D department on a project, given the kind of, like, working title of, I'm gonna go with tattoo. Actually, no, I'll go with ink. Has come in, and yeah, he kind of booked an appointment saying that there was some kind of issue with this stuff, and you know it to be that Project Ink is basically like your experiment with bleeding edge science. Like, the stuff is basically goop that you hook up to someone's brain, and they can make it change shape and consistency and strength and all that with their mind. Think Transformium from the latest Transformers film, but not directed by Michael Bay, and I'm not going to advertise Beats.
Well, I'm just thinking, telekinesis kind of shit.
Similar idea, but it's on the specific matter itself. So it's like, okay, so you can...
Manipulation of specific...
Yeah, and it would probably be less crazy applicable at first. Like, you turn it into a piece of heavy machinery, and then it would turn into the car that you then drive away. Or, if you made it in smaller doses, you could have, like... You could use it as clothes, because it would be able to alter layers and fabric feels and stuff. So you could basically wander around a business suit all day, think a thought, and be in clubbing wear. Because your suit would change.
Kind of like a controlled flubber, then.
Yeah, that's actually probably a good way to think of it at the moment. Yeah. And so this kind of... in your world, Sarah, where obviously only the best people work for you, and your understanding of the best in the technology field is Stein. How is Stein different from his self? Like, your fantasized, idealized Stein that works for you. How is he different from Stein in the real world?
He knows how to take an order and keep his mouth shut about it.
Yeah. Oh, I think in Sarah's fantasy, everyone just has there's just obedience to what Sarah says.
Yeah. People who work for Sarah get a certain amount of respect within their respected community.
Yeah.
Also get certain work benefits as well as a fuckload of money.
Yeah.
So they know that if they talk back to Sarah or, mess with her in any way, that shit is taken away in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so
you find a strong motivation to do what she says and put up with her shit.
So I'm guessing you have a reputation for both building and destroying careers.
Yeah, basically.
Cool.
I've taken people who are at the height of their career at 24 and, just they're working in McDonald's
Yeah.
2 months later, like that.
Boom. Cool. Love it. Alright, so yeah. So Stein, you wander in. Yeah, there's kind of this Pakistani descent woman in like kind of suit eyeing you from the side of the room, where she's sitting in like this chair against this massive wall and completely slouched over it. You know it to be Ella, Midnight's private security, and she's like staring at you as you cross the room. Yeah, you wander up for your appointment over to Sarah's desk. What do you guys do?
You summon me, Lady Sarah?
Oh wow. Yeah. Jealous you.
Sorry, what?
You summon me, Lady Sarah?
Nice.
It's a line!
That's intentional. Why did I summon you?
Well, you got a report to make. Yeah, so I think it's
I'm
the
genuinely
regular. Yeah, sorry.
I'm asking Stein, why did he report to me?
Yeah.
I believe you wanted a report on how Project Inc. is going?
And how is Project Inc. going?
Well, it's operational, but there are side effects. You can use it. It's working exactly as I reported on our last conversation, but if you use it, there is a backlash of severe mood swings, depression, introversy. One of the guys I had tried out killed himself. It was messy. It's good. It's clean. It's all gone. But there's amnesia. Well, I've lost 2 of them. But yeah, there's bad shit that happens when we use this. And I'm sorry that the progress has been a little slower than expected.
So what you're telling me is if I want to use this, it's gonna severely impact my mental state.
I wouldn't be able to comment, my lady.
Try, please.
Don't forget, at any point
In your own-
you can still roll to do things. Just so you know.
Can I read her just to get a gauge of exactly like how this is gonna go for me?
Yeah, definitely. Do bear in mind, you can do the exact same things, Sarah. But I guess you don't have sharp highlighted.
Okay,
But yeah.
so shot.
Wow. Okay, so read a person. Over the course of this interaction, you can ask up to 3 questions from the read a person move.
Yeah, I'm just loading the questions. God damn buffering.
Well, while this happens, there's some memory kind of slots into place. For I suppose both are actually mainly for Midnight or Sarah. How strange. Yeah, you keep thinking of yourself as Midnight and keep correcting yourself. It's really disorientating. But yeah, you get this image starting out of like, oh, Project Inc. and like budget reports and like progress reports and stuff, and like the project is already delayed. Like, you are working with the bleeding edge, but I imagine that Sarah doesn't put up with that too well. And yeah, like budget has gone massively into this, and this is like they finally got it semi-functional. It's still not at like crazy levels, but that was going to take a lot of time anyway. But still, it's only just hit functional, and now apparently it's got massive side effects. And yeah, for a device that has to be directly hooked up to the brain probably shouldn't cause massive depression. Yeah, so yeah, Stein, what's happening?
Okay, so I've got 3 questions. I'm not going to use them all at once. I'm gonna drop them where I feel appropriate now that I've stockpiled them.
Okay, cool.
Just for simplicity
Yeah.
and so I don't waste them.
Yeah.
Sort
I
of
think this is
hesitate,
where
sort of intimidated by.
just to briefly cut in. This is at the point where Stein is like examining Sarah for like reactions, possible anger, that kind of stuff. And yeah, this voice that sounds completely like your own thoughts goes, "You should show her the lab. Like, show her the stuff. That'd be helpful." Yeah, like it's like a thought that like goes, maybe if you bring her round the lab and explain the issues facing you and show her like reports and stuff, she'll understand better. Yeah. And yeah, I think Stein's memory for a moment realizes it's not him thinking that, but then fake Stein, who is not in control in this fantasy, yeah, hears that.
Yeah. I try and shrug off these thoughts, thinking, no, I need to act in Lady Miss Sarah's best interest. And I look at her and go, my honest opinion is you should not go near it. I'm not sure if this is quite what you expected. I'm not sure if this is actually ever going to be safe.
Surely, if we have the technology to be able to build such a thing, why don't we have the technology to be able to get rid of these ridiculous side effects? I have put so much money and time and investment into this. You are some of the smartest people in the entire world. Why can't you figure this out?
A slightly darker thought occurs to Stein at this point, saying, you should just get her to try it. Just get her to see it for herself. I push back these thoughts, and you can tell Stein's getting agitated now, and he's very slowly trying to keep himself, slowly speaking to try and keep himself from shouting at her. It's not a case of money. You can throw as much money at this as you like, with all due respect. It's a state of mind. There's no one, no suitable candidate to control the project.
I
I
think
could tell
Ella
you
chips
all
up and says, "You saying that the boss lady doesn't have the stomach for it, Stein?"
I don't remember addressing you, Ella. I'm talking to the lady.
Yeah, she just sits back.
Milady, please listen to me. You do not want to play with this.
So, exactly how do you propose I move forward on this project? Abandon it completely and waste millions of pounds?
Sorry, again, the idea of money for a moment strikes you as completely weird and then totally normal. And yeah, there's a lot of those like deja vu-ish moments. It's like the similar sensation of like, wait, what? Oh yeah, of course.
Milady, if you think your money will save you and make this work, then perhaps it is a good idea that you come and actually see for yourself exactly how this works. May I invite you down to my lab? Lab.
Ooh, could you guys come back to the lab for Netflix and chill?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a better proposition. Take a random person from the street, set them up in a room with our project, and record their habits, and show me the direct raw footage in 1 week. And I will decide for myself how safe you deem it.
Actively gritting his teeth, Milady, you've reviewed enough footage and evidence of this project trying and failing. I don't know what more I can do for you but show you right in front of you exactly. In fact, you know what? I know exactly how to show you. And at this point, he's had his hands in his pockets for this time. And he takes out his hands, and there's sort of like a dark glaze to them.
Yeah.
And it turns out he actually has been trying out the product. He's got Project Inked on him.
Yeah, so I think like maybe you like lean your neck and we see like imagine almost like so the headset that Stein has in his workspace, like a kind of full brain covering Cerebro-esque thing. There's like a just at the top of his spinal cord. There's like a small miniaturized, like as if the headset like shrunk back into like a small little plug-in thing. It's way sleeker. Like if basically the headset Stein has looks like government work, the thing on the back of his neck looks like Apple. And yeah, it's like plugged in, and then like these wires going into his into this goop, maybe like his elbows that we can't see. And yeah, Ella like goes to stand and reaches for her hip. So don't do anything stupid now, Stein.
Stein is not listening at this point. His eyes have already started to glaze over, and he just points behind him at Ella. And his hand begins to change.
Yeah.
slowly becoming more cylindrical until it extend until it turns into a small cannon.
Fucking fantastic.
And he goes, "My lady, Project Tattoo," and fires.
Nice. Seize by force, please.
That's hard, right?
Yeah.
Also highlighted. This is useful.
Yeah.
Why? Every time I roll hard.
Yeah, I
Every
think
time.
it's what actually happens is the cannon goes off. She fires back. Like you throw up your other hand and it like expands into a shield and catches the bullets. And like we see this kind of small cannonball hit Ella like square in the chest and like slams her into the wall. It dents behind her. And then Stein like I guess like how do you react to like just having murdered a person in front of your boss? Just instant like grin, no big sentences, just your instant gut reaction to that moment.
He's just grinning and looking intently at the lady, saying, "I'm really sorry. I really, really wanted that to go all the way through. But yes, this is Project Tattoo."
Yeah, at that point, like
Project
are
Ink.
your hands like the stuff on them like explodes basically? It, like doesn't like there's no like big fireball, but like it kind of vibrates and then like all of the like it turns back into goo and like falls off your arms, and yeah, like up to here you have no hands and like your brain starts like pulsing. You would recognize it in back in the real world as like the static cranked to 11, and yeah, but overlaid on top of the static as if like what is trying to come through that static is a maniacal giggle of a female voice. And yeah, like as it kind of wiggles and like you see some of the stuff land on the floor and start rolling towards you, Sarah, and yeah, like you start to get this piercing like pain in your head. It sounds like someone's like giggling at a really like you know this high frequency the things they used to put in shopping centers to like annoy teenagers like that, and it's just like kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down like a laugh. Yeah, yeah, you're fully incapacitated there, Stein. Like it's so Sarah. What do? As there's this little bead that starts rolling towards you, and Ella doesn't look like she's gonna move off of this wall that she's pinned to anytime soon.
I look quite shocked. Keep my cool.
Yeah.
Scream at Stein completely incoherent words
Oh
for
yeah.
a moment before thinking, no, you're better than this, keeping her cool, and then just running to her desk, grabbing her phone, like pushing a button, and just yelling into her phone, "Security in my office now."
Okay. Yeah, that you can do. And the stuff will keep moving towards you, like the things that have like all fallen off of basically Stein's forearms. Like imagine that volume of like liquid, and then has like kind of turned into like those sort of a little bead like rain droplets almost, but larger, like kind of the size of like a ping pong ball, and just like rolling perfectly as perfect shapes, not like falling apart on the floor towards you. And like they're not moving particularly fast, but there's a fair chunk of them. And yeah, like security goes, "We'll be right there, ma'am." And I think by the time they get halfway through that, you've hung up. But yeah, what do? The goop is coming. Project Ink is on its way.
So basically, a case of no matter where I go in this room, these
I mean,
walls are
the
gonna
thing is
fall.
that you're... So if you're like at this end of the room, where your desk is, the goop is like here, and the door is here. So you can run. I've heard running is reasonably good against slow-moving targets.
Yeah, let's try and run. Fuck it.
You do actually technically have a move for this.
No.
How exactly does your move work? Eye on the door is in your character sheet.
Eye on the door.
Aim your escape route and roll plus cool. On a 10 plus, you're gone, and sometimes you can go or stay, but if you go, it costs you. At least if the hunter takes me with you, the MC will tell you what. On a miss, you're caught vulnerable, half in and half out.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. So your escape route is presumably the door to your office? Okay, roll plus cool, please, dear.
Am I literally rolling cool, or am I rolling that move?
You can roll that move. Either works.
Oh,
Boom. Yeah, 10 plus. So you, like... As a middle, like, she jumped... sorry, Sarah, like... Possibly, I think, just for the duration of this move, you think of yourself as Midnight, and there's no weird, like... Shit, no, I'm Sarah. It's like, yeah, it's like Midnight leaps onto the desk, leaps, like, bodily over the goop, and Stein's, like, curled up, fetal position form, crying. As like, yeah, you see, like, in his coat, like, his sleeves have just collapsed, and his forearms are just gone. Yeah, leaps over the top of him and runs out of the room. Get to the door, slam it open, get through, slam it shut, and the security guard, yeah, Rourke, like, gets upstairs, like, gun out, ready, he's like, how we doing, miss? You okay? Is everything alright? Where's Ella?
I just kind of turn around, and I just point to my office door and just go, ask the man in there. While
Yeah.
you're at it, get him the fuck out of my building and into some sort of dungeon.
Yeah, he kind of goes, I see. Steps forward and then like, looks down at the door, and if you're like, if your gaze follows his, you see like a little black puddle, like just coming out from underneath it, and then like little these ping pong ball sized things like popping up and starting to roll towards you again. And yeah, as they're getting close to you, you're noticing this like giggling, high pitched whining noise gets louder as they get closer. And yeah, they like the puddle comes under the floor and then bloop, bloop, and these things pop up and start rolling towards you again. Have you ever seen Aeon Flux? There's little silver balls that respond to like the whistles. That's kind of how I think of these, but they're slower. Again, he's like, Miss, what are those? He kind of is backing away, gun on, like, trained as best he can on these things. And I think, yeah, has one arm doing that and is, like, moved aside and is holding, like, his arm across your, like, shoulders and is, like, slowly moving you backwards. What do you do?
I think she gets an idea. And she just goes, touch it.
He looks at you, like, the fuck?
And I just look, I cross my arms and I go, do you want to keep your job or do you want to be on the streets? Touch it.
Give me that seduce manipulate. This is the hardest fucking manipulate I can think of. Oh, Jesus. Compared to totally sane one against Boy Racer. Boom.
Yeah,
He gives you a look at like, I best get a raise for this. Yeah, he leans down and puts his finger out. And, like, as it gets to maybe like a couple inches away, the ball like shudders and then leaps and hits his finger. Like swarms up. And you see like against his like underneath the surface of his white shirt, you see it get to his arms and starts like it splits off and starts turning into what you recognize as Midnight's tattoos. And yeah, like Sarah doesn't have Midnight's tattoos. And these things are writing them onto Rourke's skin, and he starts like screaming and like staggering backwards. And the other one's like, again, stop. Yeah, this is Rourke. Rourke is on Sarah's security.
And a lot.
Yeah, and they stop and they quiver, and then they move way faster towards Rourke and start like, kind of horror movie style. They like slide up his shoes, and like you see him kind of like wriggling, and like underneath the surface of his white shirt, they start like drawing the tattoos onto his body. And like, yeah, as you see more and more of them, you recognize them more and more, and you have no idea why. These patterns mean something to Sarah on a level she doesn't understand. And yeah, Rourke's in a lot of pain by the sounds of it. And this stuff is like flowing under the door way faster. What do you do?
Leg it.
Yeah, turns and she's very, very freaked out, and she's like, okay, this is not a coincidence. This is not just some random pile of goop just casually making its way towards me. This stuff has like a mind of its own. I'm gonna run.
Yeah. So yeah, you have kind of choices here. Obviously, you're in an basically an office building. You have an elevator or a fire escape. Which do you want to go for?
Fire escape. Elevator has
You are
more
on like the
chance
top
of
floor.
breaking.
You are on the top floor of a building the height of the Shard. No, taller than the Shard. We just established. So
You want me to get trapped in an elevator box with fucking
I
coming down on me?
make absolutely no calls for you. Set up a fictional situation. These are the consequences of it. You can try and run the stairs if you want. You can make rolls to see, like, you could act under fire where the fire is falling over or getting exhausted while halfway down the stairs or anything like that. Yeah. And if you succeed, you just leg it. No, you can always burst into a lower floor and try and lose whatever this is.
I'm assuming the labs are in. Assuming the labs are in the building.
Yeah, like 3-4 floors down.
I'm assuming there is also some sort of airlocked facility
Probably.
that is completely sealable.
Yeah, I mean, you guys experiment with some crazy shit like fully programmable matter that causes hate murdering.
Okay,
You've probably
yeah,
got some like sealed off areas.
And running into the fucking sealed area
Yeah.
that no matter can get through. It is specially designed for this kind of shit.
Yeah. Okay, so you start
Down
running.
to that lab.
Yeah, you're like pushing past like your staff on this floor, and I think we see like a flick through of faces we know. Like we see members of Tudor's court, like Margaret sitting. Margaret's like your secretary. She's consistently in everyone's fantasy the most organized person any of you know. Yeah, and she, like you run past her, and you run. And just as you get to like the door, there's a person pushing like a little like. It's basically the person who does like the tea and biscuits. But because you're on the top floor of a fancy-ass building, it's like basically almost a butler. And you turn just as you get to the fire escape door, and it's Cecil's butler. Looks at you, and just like goes to you. Will you be wanting anything from the tray, madam? And he kind of then realizes, is everything all right? And yeah, I think for just a moment you remember chainsawing this guy in half with an AK-47, and then you don't. You just have the memory, like the feeling of like the sudden increase of heart rate of like violence having been done. Do you say anything or just keep going?
She's very much. She stands there in sort of awe that someone is being so calm.
Yeah. Oh, like he can't really. Like you've got a fairly big floor. He hasn't really seen the shenanigans yet.
I think halfway through this flashback of just, as you say, chainsawing him in half with a machine gun, you know, she just kind of goes, "Whoa!" and she looks at him again, and just goes, "It'll be off. You can take the rest of the day off." And kind of very stereotypically walks quickly, trying to look casual, but
Yeah.
freaking the fuck out. And then as soon as she turns the corner, running again.
I think as you turn the corner, you hear him just say, "Oh, Mr. Rourke, a pleasure to see you. Will you be, what is that on your face?" And then, of like the sound of something being hitting him in the neck. Yeah. So you make a break for it. You get to the fire escape stairs. You like open it. Do you turn to look behind you as you run, or do you just slam it behind you and leg it?
Hear enough behind me to know that I don't want to stop and turn.
Yeah.
And I risk falling over or into something.
Screams
So,
and such have started to happen. Yeah, okay, so you just slam the door and you keep running. Yeah, you get like a couple flights down when you hear the door slam open, and this voice, yeah, like Rourke's voice comes from the top of the stairs with this weird feminine like echo over the top of it, and it's like, "Oh, don't run away, dear. We're going to do so much together. It's going to be lovely." And then, like, you hear the sound of, like, a grunt, and then something hitting, like, the metal of, like, the railing. Do you look back, or you just keep running?
keep running.
Okay. Yeah, you get down, like, and you hear a few more of these behind you, and, like, maniacal laughing, and, again, like, sort of nursery rhyme, sort of, like, sing-song chanting. Of, yeah. I think it's raining, it's pouring, old man Rourke he's snoring, something like that, and they're like these occasional like grunts and like sounds of like flesh and like metal ringing. Yeah, you just like eyes on the prize, going for it. Yeah, and you burst into the lab door and like directly charge into your other senior scientist, Dr. Tudor, who's yeah, just kind of like carrying something past and like yeah. So, what do you do when you see him? You know you're not far ahead of Inked Rourke. What do you do?
Kind of grab him as I'm running
Mm-hmm.
by the tie. So I'm literally
Yeah.
grabbing him and running, and I'm just trying to scream while heavily breathing. Get me into the sealed vault.
I was really hoping you go for Come With Me If You Want to Live.
I don't give a shit about that.
But it would have been a really good reference. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I guess, like, to get instant obedience, give me a manipulate, because that is a weird request. Okay, yep. I'm not going to give you the whole options here, because the only person who gets true agency in every fantasy is Stein, for reasons. And yeah. So, yeah, Tudor... Just give me, like, Tudor's kind of, like, in this world, how does Tudor react to that, Joe? Like, his CEO bursting into the door, a bit dishevelled, having, like, run down 5 floors worth of stairs in, I presume, heels and a business suit. And yeah, like, just grabbing you by the tie and saying, get me into, our quarantine chambers. Joe was busy talking to someone, unfortunately.
I'm back.
Yeah, sorry, I was just asking, like, yeah, so in this kind of London...
Oh, no, I heard you. I just
Yeah,
didn't
okay,
buy
cool.
at the moment.
Yeah, so...
I guess my guy's just kind of shocked and like just kind of stuttering, kind of like what's
Yeah.
going on.
It's bowled over by the whole flurry of activity, but just kind of goes to do it because, yeah, when Sarah speaks, she commands obedience. And, yeah, so you get bundled in there. And I think maybe Dr. Tudor raises a point about how maybe you should be wearing safety gear, which I imagine is quickly glossed over. Jay, you get in there, and I think... so Sarah, you turn around as, like, you get through the door, turn, and you see, like, Tudor closing it, and, like, spins the wheel around to, like, seal it. And you just see through the little, like, observation window, you see, like, Rourke, like, kind of almost, like, ring girl style motion his way up to the door. And, like, on the one side of his head, you can see his hair is, like, gone from its normal brown to, like, completely black. And it actually, you can physically see it growing longer. And on the one, like, this other other side of his face, like, you can see, like, his eyelashes have gotten longer, his, like, stubble has, like, you can see actually his facial hair is falling out. And yeah, like, his arm looks like it's actually deflating under it, and you can see these, like, as the shirt, like, falls off of the, like, not enough body to keep it on, you see these incredibly intricate, like pure black tattoos crisscrossing his body. And yeah, from behind you hear, well... This is a surprise visit. Let me do an inspection. And you turn around to see your final, like top-level scientist working on Project Inc. Dr. Cecil. And yeah, we'll cut from Midnight's fantasy here to Stein, who wakes up in a totally white void. Yeah. You kind of groggily come to, and you're just floating in space. You're you remember your own life, everything that happened. You feel a lot better at the moment. Yeah, like, the noise still in your head, but it doesn't sound like static. It sounds basically like there's pleasant background music playing. The same music you heard when you plugged it in and, like, this chamber orchestra blared for a moment. It's actually gone to, like, soft background music. And, like, maybe something that Stein would have enjoyed in another life as like his actual choice of music if he wasn't if he didn't just have a Proclaimers tape and that was all he had. Yeah, you can hear that music softly playing. You don't feel tired. You feel fully rested. The ache in your jaw from getting hit in the face by Isaac, you don't feel it at the moment. Yeah. What do you do?
I take a look around and observe that there is just nothing but white as far as the eye can see, and I contemplate the fact that I might be dead.
At that
Quickly
exact moment, a tombstone like draws itself in the air. Like you see, like a psychic way, like a pattern shift, and like a tombstone appears in front of you, saying, "Stein, born ? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? Died? Question mark? Question mark? The man who just wanted to fix the world." And it hovers there in front of you.
That's a lovely sentiment.
I just look at it and think, that's really what they write. I could have done so much better for a tombstone.
A hammer and chisel appear in your hands.
I'm starting to see how this works. Okay. And I start chiseling over where it says born, died, and the dates. And when I finish, it just says Stein, dead and alive. I think this works. I could stay here.
Yeah. From behind you, you hear like a yawn, like a. Oh gosh. Whew. Where the hell are we?
This is Rachel. I turn to see who it is. Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel like is upside down, her dress completely defying gravity, her hair not, like rolling her neck, and she turns to see you, and she looks like the thing that happens with her normally is that her face gets set on an emotion, like an expression, and then only changes at like the beginning of the next sentence, as if she's consciously going, now look happy, now look sad, like almost like a computer. Whereas here, she's like a person. Like the full range of expression, and she seems slightly less like manic. When she looks at you and goes, "Oh, well, this is interesting." Like spins and like cartwheels in the air, and like her feet touch down. And then like she like kind of almost stands on points for a moment on thin air, and then flattens her feet, and as she does so, a floor, like a wooden floor, appears underneath her. Almost like a dance studio. And she looks up at you and goes, "You sure know how to show a girl a good time."
Wait. Imagine a glass of whiskey in my hand.
Yep.
Peers.
Uh-huh.
Downs it. Throws it aside. Like, right, okay.
Ooh, is that how this one works? Fantastic. And she, like, flumps backwards, and, like, a chair appears underneath her, and she, like, summons this lovely looking... Actually, you recognize it. It's an armchair from Cecil's house. She, like, flumps backwards into this armchair that, like, yeah, maybe, is, like, one of the ones in Cecil's living room. And she, like, looks at you and says, "Oh." And then you see her kind of, like, look upwards. Again, rolls her neck. "You did something a little unadvised, it seems. I do like my men daring."
You know, I get the feeling that you aren't feeling so hot right now. I've got all the time in the world, and I just start walking towards her.
Yeah,
And
so as soon as you get to, like, the edge of, like, her dance floor, like, it's like an invisible wall, between the two of yous, like there, and I suppose maybe you try to, like, make, like, something heavy fall on her, or something like that.
no,
Okay.
I was going for something much more delicate. I just wanted to actually touch her.
Yeah, like...
I'm going to attempt to touch her.
Yeah, like, you physically
Just
can't
a
step onto
touch
this
her, like-
dance floor, and she kind of, like, quirks her head, and hops up, and walks to the edge of it, and puts her hand, and, like, yeah, there's, like, a millimeter of space separating the two of you. that neither of you seem to be able to cross. And she goes, well, that's interesting. I've never been here with anyone else before. You're the first boy I've shown my place.
Stein just smiles. He's sort of getting used to the idea that he's actually in control here. This is the one place he's actually found where everything kind of works the way he wants it to. Not trying to put aside the fact that Rachel has had some influence on just she can do the same thing. She can just snap her fingers and suddenly we're on a dance floor.
Oh no, you're not. The dance floor doesn't reach you.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my point. Like the dance floor stops at this boundary.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
you can't physically step onto the thing that she's created. And she can't cross it into the area you're in.
Okay. So I'm, out of more than anything, scientific curiosity, I try and push my hand over to her side.
Yeah. So I think roll plus weird.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, don't talk about that. Your rolls. Yeah.
He's rolling fine.
Weird
yeah.
always rolls. It's hard that fucks me.
Yeah. So you so that was a 10. Sorry. So yeah, you push into this wall, but instead of it going through, like you see like light crackle around it, like a soft grey one, and then suddenly you're like observing this crazy ass scene. You're in like a countryside, like you can see trees and fields and hedges and stuff you've seen in like maybe like a weird old film you found in a camera or something, like a digital camera you got to start up and you're like, what the fuck is this green shit? And you're standing in this idyllic countryside scene looking down at like a Lux in like like jeans and a t-shirt. No, like her hair's nice, she's wearing nice clothes, she's got no like bruises or bumps, like her nose hasn't been broken like what at all. She's never sustained really much injuries. Leaning over a version of the McCrane-mobile, but with no spikes on it, just looks like a really nice truck, like again sort of factory new. And Midnight kind of like leaning on the other side of the truck with no tattoos in like a summer dress. It's practically modest for Midnight. And yeah, then like you reel back from it. And like this wall, like this light slowly shrinks, and Rachel like puts her finger on it and goes, well, doesn't this look interesting? And pushes her finger just into this little light spot, and you see her kind of like shudder for a moment, and then like opens her eyes and goes, ooh, you've done something very dangerous, Stein. And yeah, because you rolled a 10, you kind of, I think at this point, look upwards, and at the top of your white domain, you can now see this swarming mass of colours, and like, you recognise it as the emotional spectrum of the Maelstrom. Like, swirling around like points of light, which are each indistinct. Like, you recognise as like, those are usually inside people, those are souls. There's these little points of indistinct light and just colour swirling around them in an ocean at the top of this light domain. And yeah, this grey one is connects up in a line at the top of this like barrier to these lights. And yeah, you get the idea basically that whatever you just did, the number of souls up there, you sucked the entirety of Cecil Road into this world. This void where you exist outside of these dreams. And yeah, you kind of put that all together, and Rachel's like, oh, well, this is very interesting. I wonder where he is. And she like stretches out a hand against the wall, and you see like a couple black lines like crack into it and then start shooting upwards. And you see like basically the faintest edges of corruption creep into the world above. And one soul right in the middle just shudders in response, and a tiny little, like, a few small black lines creep out of it and start working their way through the swarm of colour. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh. I click my fingers and fall into an armchair of my own choosing. It looks more like a throne.
Oh yeah, you pull a memory straight
Rachel,
out of Tudor's book.
Yeah. Yep. Rachel, we've not always seen eye to eye, but I think it's time that we actually had a proper conversation. One that we actually discuss. Do you understand where we are right now?
She goes, I know exactly where we are, Stein. You've opened some kind of incredible rift into the very depths of the psychic maelstrom. Into where I live. Did you never wonder how I could do all the things I do?
I spent hours, days even, just non-stop wondering where you came from, what you are, why the fuck you won't leave me alone.
Oh, well,
But you know, if this is your place, hell, why do I need my place?
She goes, well, I must say you added to this, but I wouldn't be too excited, Stein. The power for all this is coming from somewhere. And it's all going through you. I don't know how long that lasts in a safe way, or how confident are you in your little tinkerings. Through Midnight's eyes, it looked awfully rushed. That's a good question. I wonder how she's doing in here. Did you think to check? And she, like, gestures towards the wall. And gives you this, like, smirk.
I hesitate for a moment.
I know you do. Stein thinks he has his dream world, but his love is very corporeal.
Stein gets a very strange idea at this point.
Yeah.
I assume I've got the same attire on as I had before the explosion.
Yeah, you're in your normal clothes.
Fantastic.
Everything about you is the way it would always be.
Okay, so at this point, I look directly at Rachel and I say, well, I'll see your wager. And he draws out a knife.
Uh-huh.
And he just cuts across his his palm.
Uh-huh.
And just waits while the blood soaks down his hand. And then he just palms the wall.
Okay. Yeah, like, you see her go, oh, amateur. And, like, her hair coils up and, like, sharpens into a blade and slices across it without having to use her hand. And she meets your hand. It's like a high five. And then both of you, like, necks jerk back. Yeah. And I think, yeah, you're kind of, like, moving through this, like, web together. And she kind of like, next to you goes, oh dear. Being in the center of this, can't you feel it? You've done something awful and amazing, Stein. Yeah, give me a weird roll to understand more about what you've done. Okay, that's a partial success, so I can give you a vague impression. Yeah, so now that you're up top, above your little white bubble, yeah, this place is, like, the edges, like, the center of it's all cool and awesome and great. Sea of emotions, lots of happy souls, except for a few bits of corruption leaking in and out. But in the rest of it, at the edges, you, like, turn and you see, like, a howling blizzard pressing in from every side. And, like, this cold, like, ice is slowly getting closer. On the one side, sorry, and on the other side you see like these this like kind of hand pushing like almost like a body like pushing through the like black space at the edge of your domain, as if like someone was like on the other side of like a kind of latex like surface and or balloon almost is pushing their way through it. Yeah, and she goes, I think everyone knows. Yeah. And she like looks kind of confused for a moment. She goes, but there's someone I want to visit. And like she puts her hand out and these little black tendrils she shot in hooks a soul towards her. And she like puts like kind of cups it and puts it like kind of holds it here. She goes, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so you put your hand on top of it, and yeah, fades to white, and you're in London, and you're in like the House of Commons, and you are looking around like this this area you've never seen before, and you kind of see all these people yelling at each other, and yeah, you turn and you see Cecil, standing like at the podium, giving this massive long speech. And he rounds it off, and all his like supporters are cheering. He's got a massive like his side of the room is packed. They're all wearing blue ties. Loads of cheering, and then the other side, like pitiful turn up. They're all cowed and like can't bring anything up. And yeah, he slowly like kind of smiles, sits down, and yeah. And Rachel next to you just kind of leans and goes, "Trust me, it'll get a little better." And she like clenches on this little white orb, and like these black tendrils start like seeping into it. You start to it starts almost fast forward for you. You see him doing interviews, getting congratulated, blah 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 blah. You get lots of like election and landslide victory, like snippets of phrases that come through. And just as he's like stepping outside, and he's flanked by like Ella and Rourke, and a bunch of like large men, and like Midnight wanders over, dressed far more sluttily than she is in anyone else's fantasies, but still no tattoos, and like hooks onto his arm, and he smiles at her, and they wander towards like a car in the little waiting for them to drive them presumably back to number 10. And that's when like gunfire happens, and you first see like Rourke like goes down, and yeah, so like Rourke goes down, Ella and her two main guys like pull out guns, start firing, and this like swarm of guys in like hoodies and black trousers like swarm over and start like shooting them. One of them hits Midnight in the side of the head, and she like crumples to the floor. Ella puts up a good fight. She immediately murders two. And one of them shoots her in the arm, and she drops her gun. She like punches one dude in the face with her good arm, kicks another one, and this last guy like gut shots her, and she drops. And they walk over to Cecil and like grab him by like here, and then he like puts him in like almost a headlock. And you see this other one walk over to Midnight, levels like a shotgun at her head, and then pulls the trigger. And yeah. Rachel kind of goes, "Sorry about that part. I know that must have hurt." How does Stein feel watching Midnight get executed?
He retches a little bit, but then that sublime feeling of I can't hear any static, and the fact that he feels in control again comes back and dominates it. I mean, are we still separated by a wall, or are we in the same space?
A weird sort of, you're like kind of almost ghosts in this world. I think you're getting a weird impression of what it's like to be Rachel, of this person who can walk unseen and go anywhere but never be noticed by anything. But yeah, as you're not noticing any static, you are feeling this weird thing of like every time you pass through like one of these color waves that you can see the psychic maelstrom wherever you walk at the moment. Every time one of them hits you, like you feel the corresponding emotion, and you feel it strong. And yeah, like the moment like pain and anger and like Cecil's actual real sadness like hit you like lead weights. And yeah, like for you it's probably quite uncomfortable. But I think you just catch a glimpse of like Rachel, just like the mania is back, and she's just grinning ear to ear. And yeah,
Okay.
We start to fast forward. Cecil gets bundled into the back of a van and driven off. Yeah, you catch a glimpse of like these guys in these hoodies, and they're all wearing masks, with like just like plain white hockey masks, basically. And we arrive at a building. And yeah, you just catch a glimpse of a familiar door. This building isn't covered in snow, but pressed on the front of this door is the Wintermute Institute. And yeah, you literally feel like next to you, Rachel kind of like buzzing in like excitement. You can see coming off of her the waves of like giddiness and happiness, while all you're getting is like from the guys in hoodies, you're getting nothing but like cold professionalism, and from Cecil you're getting fear and like bordering on terror, anger, hatred, sadness. Like this guy's going through shit, and she's like just so hyped about this. He gets to the Wintermute Institute, and he gets thrown down in front of this kind of this like figure in like a lab coat. They turn around, they're completely bald, They have no obvious hair, like no facial hair. And yeah, you entirely cannot tell whether they're a man or a woman. Androgynous in every way. No sign of an Adam's apple, no sign of breasts, nothing. And they're like, you actually, as they look up, their eyes are like the wrong shape. Like their pupils are kind of a weird, sort of like a square, but with the edges pinched in, backed up by again like a really like a dark green. And yeah, he like looks. This figure like looks down at us and goes, "A pleasure to meet you, sir. Congratulations on your election victory. My name is Dr. Tessia. I'm so glad you've agreed to become one of our subjects." Yeah. And I think he just reaches out and touches Cecil, and you get thrown from this vision by like the sheer pain that just immediately ripples off of him. Like, it hits you like a physical, like, thing. Yeah, like, you fall out of this, and, like, into the best that you can in this kind of spiritual body, you start, like, vomiting. Yeah. And, yeah, what do? You're, like, left alone outside this vision, like, Rachel's still inside it, her body in this world still, like, grinning maniacally. As you see, like, in the soul, you see, like, just the black tendrils have crept way deeper into it. And as you look around, you see that the corruption she leaked into this place is swirling way more around it.
So we're back in my white.
Yeah,
domain.
you're back in there. Yeah, but your white domain is being dyed by Rachel's power.
Cool. I still have my my conjuring.
Yeah, to some
This is great. Okay, so I'm going to try something weird, and you feel free to make me roll for it.
Uh-huh.
But at this point, I'm starting to feel angry again, and Stein's darker side is just begging to act out. I basically scream into space, "If you can do that, I can do that." And I throw my arms up towards the maelstrom and reach out for what I know to be what kind of exists as Rachel's soul entity and Stein's former entity before this all happened, and bring them down and crush them together.
Wait, as in, like, you want to put Rachel in your physical form, or as in you want to, like, find...
Put her in her physical form before she became what she is now.
Oh,
and merge two souls, so they're basically in the same place, both mortal in the same place.
Okay. The thing is that you guys are your own souls. Like, you aren't involved in that fantasy. Memories and emotions from you creep in there.
Yeah, but we can't, like...
You can try and push her back into... Yeah, you can try and push her back into hers and, like, remove all of the parts of yourself you don't like if you want.
I was more going for actually getting her so I can actually we're physically able to touch.
Okay.
I'm saying that basically not to give any spoilers. I know that sounds creepy, but I have something in mind.
Give me... First of all, give me a maelstrom, like, open your brain check.
Okay.
Like, you kind of, like, you first of all have to look for Rachel's physical form.
Is that just a weird roll, or...?
Yeah, roll weird.
Yes.
Yeah, you
These
search...
I'm just looking at our rolls we've done. It's 12, 12, 10, 10, 9, 11.
It's good stuff.
I'm not looking forward to when it comes back around to my turn.
Yeah, so yeah, you look for Rachel's physical form. And, like, trailing along the conventional routes, there's nothing there. Rachel, the person, is dead. Gone. Very long time ago. The closest thing you can approximate is the thing that her power has the deepest roots in. It's the body of Midnight. So, before we go to break, what do you do with that information? And actually...
I understand this, as in, what I've got is basically...
She doesn't have a body.
As I remember her, and Rachel's entity within it.
Yeah, like, Rachel is disembodied. Like Rachel, the thing exists as a ghost. Like if you didn't think ghosts are real, they are. And yeah, Rachel's closest thing to a body is midnight.
Does this just contain her entity, or can I actually get into her memories and her, back as well?
She is as much in control of this space as you are. So
Yeah,
that would require a direct contest of wills, and you'd have to like basically overpower her in the psychic realm.
Yeah, that's what I'm attempting to do, to grab this entity and basically put my own version of her black tendrils, a white version, into this entity.
Yeah. Okay. Give me an augury. You can definitely use augury in this place.
Yeah, what am I rolling?
Is weird still. It's still weird.
Ooh. Oh, come on! Right, the crucial minute.
Yeah, so you like gather, you kind of like focus, and like maybe the headset actually appears on you just as a physical way for you to visualize it. And like these color waves like form up in front of you, and like then pulse out, and the world for you just goes like monochrome. Possibly just turns back into just like sound waves and just like static and background music, and you just see outlined in that Rachel's form. And then it explodes into like tendrils, and just you see Rachel when she's not hiding, and she's just pure hatred. Whereas a normal soul is like a core surrounded by all the emotions they could feel, and some dominate the others at different times. Rachel, at her core, is hatred. That's all she is anymore. She doesn't have, like you discover, she doesn't have most of her memories. She doesn't have much of anything. She just hates. It's all she's capable of. And as soon as you look at it, it looks back. And, yeah, you get, like, hit by this wave and pushed out of this like, nice place that you're in, into the swirling maelstrom. The swirling, like, the blizzard you saw on the edge, and, like, the permafrost. As you land on it, like, this chill hits deep in your soul. And, this voice, like, as if from the static, the music cuts off, the static comes back, but then, like, the static is completely overridden by this booming of 100 voices yelling at you from across this storm. Just here, swear fealty to the Empire. And we'll go to break. We'll see you in just a moment.